Well, thank you for all of your answers and
Sure.
for your presentation. To take you to the written testimony on page 3, where the 2015 announcement cited the 2012 changes, that certain local government entities were using the installation provision and certain supply contracts circumventing required statutory provisions, and that's what you were mentioning, that was occurring by some local governments. They were utilizing that provision to circumvent the law.
It was occurring. There were at least a handful of instances that we're aware of where a local entity used a CoStar's contract. You know, I said misused a CoStar's contract. In one instance, I believe they divided work into smaller purchases and made them all through the CoStar's contracts in an effort to avoid the Separations Act provisions. You know, I guess my main point here is that the local government entities are going to, you know, folks are going to do, like, I don't know that we can regulate from DGS.
I'm a little curious as far as
going to be.
the way that the law was written when it was passed back in 2005. Was the law written in a way that allowed for this type of a policy change to be made without a statutory change? Like, because you're going back and forth between two major policies, from including installation or not including installation, including labor, not including labor. It seems like, I mean, did the General Assembly, when we passed that, did we not clarify that, or did we just write it broadly to allow you to have the ability to fluctuate between those two major policies? Because it seems like we should revisit it if the policy is actually lending itself to being used to circumvent other areas of law, which, you know, I would probably change some of those areas that they're circumventing personally, but as long as it's the law, they should be complying with it.
So we agree that they should be compliant. The changes that have been made, based on the explanation I've had from counsel, the changes that were made were based on the terms of the contracts that the Commonwealth holds with each of the CoStar's vendors. So there are provisions in those contracts that allow the Commonwealth to make this sort of change midstream.
I'm talking about
in a
going back to the
contract.
controlling statute.
I don't
as far
believe
as what we allowed to be included in this type of a program.
I believe the controlling statute in this case is silent on this matter of full scope of what can and what can't be in a goods or services contract that DGS enters into through the CoStar's program. I don't believe that the statute is that specific.
So do you think that the General Assembly should address this? Should we look at including some of these things to actually keep this type of a problem from occurring in the future? I mean, you said in here that the department is going to monitor the use of the contracts that are being, to ensure that there's compliance. I think that's a pretty tall task for you to monitor the, you know, thousands of people that are utilizing this, when you said yourself that you don't have the staff to even run some statistical analysis of the program.
Fair enough. It is a large task, without a doubt, to monitor all of the activity. But I'm aware, having gone through the files, that it doesn't take long when there is some abuse. There's usually an aggrieved party, someone who wasn't able to bid, someone who lost out, who usually becomes pretty vocal. So we hear about it. And we have taken action over the last few years. Basically, I think Dawn now has pretty good experience enforcing this provision in both directions.
Yes.
And basically, when a supplier is not acting in compliance with the law or with the contract, then the remedy that we have is basically to threaten to cancel their contract. which is an action, we can take and have taken. And the position we took in November really was premised on that ability.
So that's not to interrupt you, but
Yeah.
just to try and draw out the points that I was looking for also that you're making. So you have the ability to take a supplier off, but what about the member being the one that's complicit in using this law to circumvent other laws?
Yeah, so disciplining a local government entity would be beyond my jurisdiction.
So if they're misusing this, then they're allowed to remain on the list and still utilize the program?
We've never removed a member.
So the members that, when circumventing the statutes had been found to be occurring in the past, those government entities are still part of the CoStar program, even though they were utilizing it to circumvent the law in other areas.
Yes, we have issued letters, though, however, to those local entities to let them know that whatever procurement they made was not a CoStar's procurement.
So do we not provide we provided the authority in the statute to take vendors off, but we didn't provide authority in the statute to disqualify other entities, whether they're not, I mean, say it's a nonprofit claiming they're using this for educational purposes, and they're not.
Mr. Chairman, I believe, I suspect the statute is silent on this matter as well, but I'd be more than happy to take the suggestion. I think we likely have the authority now to do as you're suggesting. So if a local entity is found to be misusing a CoStar's contract and violating other requirements of the law, then I would have no problem whatsoever with imposing some sort of sanction through the CoStar's program, either suspending their membership for some period.
I think as long as we have this change in policy from 2012, 2015, and then the comments, in this announcement, it said that the department would continue to monitor and ensure that it's being complied with. I think to ensure it's being complied with, to send another announcement to local government entities or nonprofits that are involved in a program to let them know, you need to be in compliance with all the law, and if you're not, then you're going to be removed from the program, and you're not going to realize these savings by trying to cut corners.
I think that'd be a very reasonable provision to put in place, and we'll pursue it.
Thank you. Thank you.